Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm not James A. Janice. I'm actually Zoran Gvojic. And while James and Chelsea tend to their wedding and overall health, I'll be covering the Tremors franchise, starting with the original Tremors released in 1990. Tremors is one of my all-time favorite films, as evidenced by my Illinois license plate, my screen-used Shrieker skull, and the full-size graboid I added to my Chicago sketch group Long Pork back in 2009.
Broken the wrong goddamn sketch show, didn't you bastard?
Thanks to your supportive comments and love/tolerance for They Talk, I'll be taking you through all 7 films in this little franchise that could, starting with the only film in the franchise released theatrically. Not many people know that the first Tremors was a box office bomb.
No, it's a disaster.
The head of Universal did call me and said, well, we just blew it.
But thanks to these new things called VHSs that most of you have never seen,
Tremors started being rented and re-rented and re-rented and re-rented.
And it was a hit.
And gave birth to 6 sequels, a TV show on Sci-Fi, another failed pilot for Sci-Fi, and a graboid-shaped cocksock.
Whoever can fill this up, I gotta tell you, that's pretty impressive.
The original Tremors was written by Brent Maddock and Steve S.S. Wilson, the creators of the Short Circuit films. The idea for the film originated when Steve was on a desert hike, and it was originally called Land Sharks. But since SNL had a popular land shark character,
Land Shark, honest to God.
they changed the title to Beneath Perfection, a name that still wouldn't stick when Universal chairman Tom Pollock forced them to call it Tremors in hopes that the relation to earthquakes would make the movie sell better in Japan due to a series of recent earthquakes. Under the skillful direction of Ron Underwood, best known for City Slickers and hopefully forgotten for Pluto Nash, Tremors is a film that defies classification. Is it horror? Is it comedy? Sci-fi? Romance? The answer to all of them is yes. Taking heavy inspiration from the B monster movies of the 50s, there's laughter one minute, genuine scares the next, and some of the greatest practical effects ever put on screen, courtesy of Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. of Amalgamated Dynamics in their first feature. The production was a grueling one, with 110-degree days, rattlesnakes, malfunctioning worms, and even snow.
Everybody was just freezing. It was just grisly.
But the crew pulled together, and Tremors is a true labor of love. Tremors is the story of Perfection, Nevada, an isolated desert town with a small population of ordinary people. Our heroes are a couple of good old boys named Val and Earl. They get fed up with all the shit work in this small town and head off to the big city for a better life. Unfortunately, some giant underground monsters have other plans for them.
We decided to leave this place just one damn day too late, you know?
The creatures known as graboids attack the town intent on eating its residents, and it's up to everyone to band together and come up with a plan to survive. And man, do they come up with a lot of plans. Luckily, there are plenty of kills in between the planning to keep you little meaties interested. Will the best laid plans of these nice men end in a graboid buffet? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with an Alias-style title card, leading to a man peeing all over a matte painting. The man draining his bacon is none other than Kevin Bacon, playing our hero, Valentine McKee. Bacon was previously seen on my breakfast plate this morning and on the kill count getting Savini'd in Friday the 13th. Kevin was at a low point in his career when he took this job.
I was running out of money.
And originally hated being part of the film since it was a box office bomb.
Can't believe I'm doing a fucking movie about underground worms.
But since then has come around.
It was the only character that I've ever played that I really wanted to go back and revisit.
He even did so in an unaired pilot for Sci-Fi Channel in 2018, but sadly, it wasn't picked up. I guess it wasn't good enough to join the likes of Alien News Desk, Deadly Class, Ghost Wars, Krypton, Night Flyers, and Superstition. You know, all those classics. Val gently nudges his buddy Earl awake. Earl, played by prolific character actor Fred Ward, wakes up with a squint, and we get to meet our heroes. 2 non-canine good old boys who love to swear and smoke. In order to decide who makes breakfast, they resort to rock, paper, scissors. That will be a running gag throughout this movie. Val and Earl are hired hands.
Handyman Earl.
Sorry, handy men who use their handy hands to eventually put up a fence before heading off on this very special day.
It's garbage day.
Garbage day!
Oh, man. Already?
Their bromantic bickering establishes their friendship and lets us know that Val isn't the most responsible fella.
Damn it, Valentine, you never plan ahead.
Yeah, if you did, maybe you would have said no to RIPD. Earl's scolding is interrupted when Val spots the new grad student and proceeds to inform us what he truly values in a woman.
Long blonde hair, big green eyes, world-class breasts, ass that won't quit, and legs
that go all the way up.
This narrow list of criteria isn't fulfilled by Rhonda Lebeck, a grad student and Gilligan's Island cosplayer studying seismology. She's played by Finn Carter, who deserves an Oscar for pretending this was a warm and sunny day when it was actually snowing.
Finn is having a terrible time staying warm between takes.
Rhonda's been getting some strange readings on the seismographs, but Val and Earl don't know nothing about no foreshadowing, so they wish her luck and head back to town. Well, Rhonda realizes she shouldn't have done her last batch of cocaine Scarface style. We finally arrive in Perfection, Nevada, population 14, but they'd better get out some paint because that number is about to go down. This town was built by production designer Ivo Cristante and his team by purchasing cheap shacks from the side of the road, dismantling them and remantling them in Lone Pine, California. A great filming location used in both classic westerns and space westerns alike. Val and Earl pass by this little D-bag Melvin bouncing his balls on people's cars that, hey, what do you expect from someone named after a wedgie? Inside Chang's Market, we meet Burt and Heather, two other Perfection residents buying some ketchup, cookies, and hollow point bullets. Like you do. Heather is played by country singer Reba McEntire in her feature film debut, and her husband is played by Michael Gross, best known as Stephen Keaton on Family Ties. Michael has gone on to be the only actor to appear in every Tremors film and the TV show. And we learned that Burt is a bit of a paranoid gun nut.
Next thing, the feds will be at our door. Sorry, time to move. Eminent domain.
And I'm sure that won't come into play later. Let's just take a moment to introduce the rest of the town now, starting with the general store's owner, Walter Chang. He's played by Victor Wong, another amazing character actor known for Big Trouble in Little China and the Three Ninjas films that only 90s kids remember. There's also Miguel, a lovable cattle rancher, Nestor, a local drunk and not Melvin's dad, as many believe, and finally there's Nancy, a hippie pottery artist, and her pogo-bouncing daughter, Mindy, played by Ariana Richards, best known for wiggling jello and hacking into the world's dumbest computer system in Jurassic Park. But enough of these humans, where are the damned monsters? Well, they're a bit shy, only appearing as shaky dirt and seismo lines that Rhonda jots down in a journal she borrowed from Ashton Kutcher. After the cameraman wakes up, he follows Rhonda, along with a graboid in this effect they achieve by dragging a boat buoy in a dirt trench under a layer of latex rubber. It was the most reliable effect in the movie, with only one problem.
We would forget where it was.
I guess you share that in common with Rhonda, who does not know where the graboid is as she obliviously escapes. Back in Perfection, Val and Earl have graduated from garbage to sewage as they argue about being trapped in town due to Val's poor planning skills. They're interrupted when they strike oil, Black Bowl, Texas teepee, yeehaw! That's enough to kickstart their exodus from Perfection. Val grabs his porn in a vacuum, let's hope those two things aren't related, and they head off to Bixby.
Bixby! That's a town that they refer to often in this series, but is only ever seen in an episode of the TV show featuring a giant prehistoric shrimp. I'm not kidding.
The Bixby-bound boys bypass a man hanging off an electrical tower, and Val uses his supervision to identify it as Edgar Deems, a local farmer and mule lover who originally appeared in a deleted opening scene. One quick rock, paper, scissors later, and Val climbs up to find Edgar Deems dead and looking like Gramps from House 2, the second story. They take the body to Jim, the local doctor, and learn that Edgar died of dehydration. Oh boy, that is a big word for Val. Can you dumb it down a bit?
Thirst.
Another Perfection resident who lives further out from town is Old Fred, currently gardening with his scare wife, Pie Plate Patty. Suddenly, his sheep go all crazy Ralph on him, warning of impending doom. Even Patty tries to warn him, but she also might be drunk. In any event, he's attacked and pulled into the ground by a graboid. Val and Earl arrive to find a bunch of dead sheep. Let's see, there's one dead sheep, two dead sheep, three dead sheep. Yeah. Oh, God. Ugh, thank God we only count humanoids on this thing, am I right? Anyway, they look for Fred and they only find his Fredora. And when they pick it up, we see drop-dead Fred's severed head. Yes, the graboid's eyes were bigger than their stomachs. Wait, they're blind, aren't they? Damn it! The boys head back to town and warn a couple of road workers along the way.
A murderer, man, a real psycho. He's cutting people's heads off.
But these Mario brothers don't buy it and continue digging their way to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh no, Yoshi! Oh wait, it's a graboid.
The graboid-embedded jackhammer hightails it out of there, and construction worker Carmine is yanked off screen and killed while his Mario brother Howard attempts to help by getting in the way of a rock slide. We later see that his construction hat is filled with brain jello, solidifying that he did not have an extra life. Still thinking there's a serial killer lopping off people's heads, Val and Earl try and leave but get hung up on the side of the road. They finally free themselves and get back to town to find everyone on the call sheet, and a reveal of our monster! Behold, the graboid in all its glory! At least that's what the writers wanted you to think. The snakeoid tentacles helped keep the budget low and served as a fun misdirect for the audience. They were brought to life using a combination of cable puppets and old school hand puppets like a slimy Muppet from hell. Away from town, the Doc and his wife have been working so hard on their new house, he starts to hallucinate psychic visions.
I'm dead.
And right on cue, the generator goes out, prompting him to put those Dead by Daylight skills to the test. Of course, you can't play the minigame without a generator. Wonder where it could have gone. Ho-ho! Jump scare! Take that, Bagul. The Doc stumbles into a sneaky ground mouth and is sucked under, being eaten alive while his wife tries to save him with a 2x4. But balsa's no substitute for a good oak. Doc Jim is sucked into the ground and eaten alive. His wife tries to verify the kill for us, but instead is attacked and chased into the car. She Fonzies a radio on as the graboids attack and begin to suck her under the ground. Now, originally she was supposed to climb on the front of the car and go down with it like the Titanic, but an issue on the day caused them to replace it with this post-production shot of the headlights going out alongside the light of Megan's life. Back in Perfection, we get the first of many planning scenes. Burt kicks into survival mode.
We arm ourselves, we set perimeters, we stand guard.
And Heather lays it out plainly for us.
Phone's out, the road's out. We're on our own.
Surrounded by mountains with no way out, it's up to Val and Earl to go for help by taking Chang's horses to Bixby. Bixby! While prepping the horses, Walter gives them my favorite combination of supplies ever.
Here's some Swiss cheese and some bullets.
Thanks, Walter.
Burt and Heather set out to find the college girl Rhonda, and Melvin and the snake monster bid them a fond farewell as they ride off into the sunrise.
Out here in Nevada, life is far from perfection. The sun is hot, jobs are shit, and the wildlife bites. Make sure you're prepared for whatever life throws at you with Swiss cheese and bullets. That's right, the holiest of cheeses pairs perfectly with making the holiest of holes. Swiss cheese and bullets. It's a thing.
Available at Chang's Market while shop owners last.
Val and Earl arrive at the Doc's meth lab, or new home, with no trace of them, except for the sound of a radio coming from under the ground. They discover the buried front end of the family truckster with its lights still on. The boys book it to Bixby right past that shitty fence they were making earlier, only to have their horses spooked and subsequently snatched by a graboid tentacle, as well as some fishing line. Val gets demoted from Major Dummy to Captain Obvious.
They're under the goddamn ground.
Not for long, they aren't. So beautiful! Oh, it's such a great design. The graboid was designed by Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr., two prolific practical effects artists who worked on countless films, including Alien 3, the original Mortal Kombat, and It. This was the first film for their newly formed company, Amalgamated Dynamics, after having originally worked for the legendary Stan Winston. They based the graboid design off real animals like slugs, rhinos, and snapping turtles. And in the original design, the graboids would cover their heads with a protective fleshy casing. But someone at the studio saw the design and said,
"This is not going to be a movie about giant dicks chasing people through the desert."
Even though an uncircumcised graboid would be able to experience 20% more sensation while killing. The first shot is actually a miniature done by the Skotek brothers of Four Ward Productions, using quarter-scale graboids that seamlessly blend with the full-size ones created by Amalgamated Dynamics. Val and Earl take off with the graboid in hot pursuit. Damn it, graboid! You know how long it took him to nail in that post?
I certainly am better with a hammer than I was in the movie.
The graboid continues to critique their handiwork as they approach a canal and initiate a jump program. But unable to free their minds, they come up short as they scramble to escape the oncoming worm, which collides into the concrete, knocking itself cold.
Called my ass. He's dead.
And as a special treat, I'm also going to be tracking the graboid deaths in Burt's hunting log, so we can see who came out ahead by the end of this franchise. How do you feel about that, Val?
Fuck you!
Well, fuck you too. But unlike me, you can only use one F-bomb per PG-13 movie. A fact the filmmakers weren't aware of that led to some very interesting dubs we'll hear later. Rhonda appears out of nowhere and then they exhume the body. She notices that they have no eyes, and Earl hypothesizes that the snakeoid tentacles are used to reel you into the mouth. What do you have to add, Val?
I found the ass end!
Oh, Val, you're lucky you're so pretty. Rhonda, aka the Doc Brown of the desert, exposits that the creatures move through the dirt with these spikes, moving so fast it creates seismic tremors, and great Scott! Rhonda realizes there are 3 more graboids out there due to these separate seismic readings.
What?
Jesus Christ, Val, pay attention. You know what, just go to Rhonda's truck. But as they do, a graboid appears, forcing them up onto a nearby rock. Based on the torn tentacle, they recognize this as the one that graboided their truck earlier, dubbing him Stumpy. Val checks to see if the graboid's headed off, but this blind baddie is sticking around for some reason.
It
senses seismic vibration. It can hear every move we make, especially on this rock. It's a perfect conductor.
Well, fuck. Day turns to night and then right back to day as Val and Rhonda snuggle up to their romantic subplot. They check to see if old Stumpy is still out there, but since Stump's mother-in-law is in town, he's in no rush to head back home. Another planning scene occurs.
Why don't we just make a run for it? We outran him yesterday.
Run for it? Running's not a plan. Now, running's what you do when the plan fails.
But Rhonda's 10 steps ahead. She grabs some Deus Ex Sticky Nuz and proceeds to the trademark of the Tremors franchise. Doing what you can with what you got.
We just stay where it can't get us. These residual boulders.
Wilson and Maddock wanted to subvert the horror tropes of idiot people doing dumbass things in horror movies, and instead wanted to have actual smart protagonists for once.
What?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, smart enough. We get a nice synchronized pole vault montage, and these boulders were actually made for the scene by Ivo Cristante, and led to some sound issues because they were completely hollow inside. The montage is set to a fun, bluesy western score by composer Ernest Troost. Originally having scored the whole film, half of Ernest's music was replaced in post by Robert Folk, who was brought in to add punch to the more action-heavy scenes. It's sad that his full score was truncated, but I actually think the two mesh beautifully. They make it to the truck fighting off Stumpy as Rhonda does the greatest display of blind driving since Al Pacino. They regroup with the others in Perfection, where Nancy says someone is bound to check on them since the roads are out. You're absolutely right, Nancy. Unfortunately, the Nev Caltel workers sent to check on them result in 2 more kills, represented by more brain jello helmets and a belt for some reason. You know, maybe he took them off after a nice Thanksgiving dinner or something. Pants are so constricting. I mean, I'm not wearing any.
Nope. I told you pants are not optional, even if they're out of frame. All right, you put these on right now, or else this whole little experiment ends.
Sorry, James. It's my first day. Back at the market, Chang and Melvin brainstorm names for the creature.
Snakeoids.
Val points out that this valley is one long smorgasbord, and they're the main course. And what name is that reservation under?
Graboid.
Thanks, Chang. Even though most people, like my mom, just call them Tremors. Some dumbass plans are thrown out.
I'll just hit him with a 5-pound pickaxe.
And then Rhonda suggests they head into the mountains up an old Jeep trail. Seems like a good plan as long as the graboids take their time. Never mind! Guess they have a taste for Hereditary Head. Looks like the graboids have arrived for dinner. Party of 3. Tentacles, that is. They creak some floorboards and Rhonda reminds the audience how to outwit them.
No noise. No vibrations.
Oh man, not even good vibrations? Like the ones Mindy is listening to on her pogo stick? Guess not, as the graboid heads towards Mindy, and unfortunately, this ain't no Vegisaurus. Val runs and tackles her stunt double off the pogo stick that defies all laws of gravity as it's sucked under the ground. Everyone separates while Rhonda and Earl spot a second graboid. Earl heads into Chang's, but Rhonda gets caught in some barbed wire and is in need of saving as the graboid reels in its catch. Luckily, she doesn't have to hold out for a hero for long, because here comes Val with a pickaxe. That's not gonna— It worked! Are you kidding me? Nestor, you genius! While the graboid's distracted, Val becomes as eloquent as an 18-year-old on prom night.
Down your pants.
Okay.
No.
Well, it works for Val, and Rhonda is freed just as another graboid joins the no pants party. They run back to Chang's in one of the most iconic shots as the graboid displaces the floorboards behind them. Val and Rhonda share a moment while he tends to her corn syrup wounds, and Earl creepily approves of their relationship. Before things can get too happy though, a noisy freezer brings a graboid to shop at Chang's store. And it ain't looking for no Swiss cheese and bullets. The graboid bites into Walter Chang, giving him an oddly instantaneous nosebleed. He's yanked around Jaw style and pulled down to his death. That's what you get for calling them names. A second graboid joins the party as the humans all play The Floor is Lava. The one vegetarian tentacle samples the local cuisine, while everyone heads to the roof. Rhonda gets knocked out a window, which separates her from the others, finding safety at the nearby water tower. Heather and Burt show off their vanity plates and CB over to the store to find out why everyone's up on their roofs. Well, might as well run this shell case polisher while you wait for an answer. Of course, this loud-ass machine attracts a graboid that bursts through their basement bunker. But don't worry, they're able to fend it off with a wall of fucking guns! Shotguns, automatic rifles, green screen stunt doubles. They use it all in this sequence that was filmed with an amazing blend of small-scale puppets and full-size graboids. The effect blends seamlessly, as showcased by this shot where Burt drops a gun on a full stage and it whip pans over to a small-scale puppet filmed separately. Heather goes all John Woo minus the doves, but can't take this graboid's face off, so it's time to literally pull out the big guns. Burt grabs an 8-gauge darn shotgun, aka the elephant gun, and unloads 2 massive shots that end the graboid and give us the best line ever.
Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you, you bastard?
Add one more bastard to the hunting log. Burt announces his triumph over the radio and Val responds with a dubbed F-bomb.
Be advised, however, there are two more mother humpers.
Earl tells them to head to Bixby. Bixby! But their old pal Stumpy has his own plan.
What do you think it's trying to do now?
Why do you keep asking me?
Oh, come on, will you just help me, Rhonda? Help me, Rhonda. Cause Nestor's trailer is in trouble when they flip the bitch, causing Nestor to fall and scramble up onto a tire. But sadly, that idea falls flat, as Nestor is sucked under the ground in a shot that brilliantly uses a shrub to cover the edit point from handheld camera to crane. And even more brilliantly stump James in the Dead Meat podcast.
So that person's falling, right?
No.
No? Is it Tremors?
It's Tremors.
Of course it's fucking Tremors. Zoran!
Realizing that they won't survive long enough to wait for help since the graboids are tearing the building out from under them, which was an effect built by Ivo Cristante, who used 6 giant truck springs inside Chang's market attached to independent sections of the roof. Then, when hundreds of pounds of sand were dumped through a trap door,
The whole roof caves in to a fixed point.
and then be able to reset for another take. God, brilliant! But enough about that. It's plannerin' time! Burt and Heather can take their Jeep. Okay, do you have a tank they could use?
The cat.
Wait, do you mean Lucy?
Weighs better than 30 tons. There's no way they could lift 30 tons.
Okay, I mean, she's put on a little holiday weight, but she's not that obese.
We can't all fit on the bulldozer.
Oh, cat is a brand of bulldozer. Thanks, Miguel. Now, no more lines till part 3. The new Planety plan is to tow a trailer behind the bulldozer, but it's a long ways away. They cleverly use a tractor as a distraction, and Rock, Paper, Scissors returns like it's sponsored this movie to decide who's going to save the cat. Val loses and concedes with a gentlemanly elbow as he says, "Goodbye, Earl," because he's the only one that's allowed to have a threesome with these wild things. Unfortunately, the tractor flips out and the graboid turns its attention to Val with a cool dirt shot that they achieved by filming straight up and dropping dirt through a tube over the camera. The graboid bursts from the ground, causing Val to stop and get a little footloose with it. The townsfolk use grade school level swears in an attempt to draw the creature away. Rhonda LeBeck gives a little kick, causing water vibrations to bring the graboid over for a pool party, baby! Na 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 na! Val gets to the bulldozer, and since the graboids can't hold on to the 30-ton beastie, he picks up everyone and heads to the Jeep trail. Burt leads the charge like a gun-toting mermaid on a pirate ship. The graboids are keeping their distance, which is just fine with Val.
I don't care what they're doing, as long as they're doing it way over there.
And let's keep the camera way over there so we don't see writer Steve Wilson cameo as Burt Gummer.
Oh, come on, don't you see me? I'm right there.
I can't see you, but I can see what the graboids have been planning as the cat and all its little kitties fall into a hole.
They dug a trap.
Yes, Val, very good. Here's your prize. Burt lights a pipe bomb and the resulting explosion forces the graboids to flee. Val spots some rocky salvation, but it's a long ways away. So guess it's time to sit down and make another
What if we throw one that way, where we want to go? Then when it explodes, if it drives them away, we run like goddamn bastards.
Thank you, Rhonda. They toss the bomb and run for another set of papier-mâché boulders. They make it to the rocks, but what now? Oh, I know! More planning! Earl's latest idea is to go graboid fishing. They bait one of the graboids with rocks and tie a pipe bomb to a rope. Earl channels his inner Wonder Woman and tosses the line. He reels in a graboid that takes the bait and add another GB to the hunting log, covered in great big globs of greasy, grimy graboid guts, which were actually made of cotton batting stuffed inside pantyhose, covered in slime, and for good measure,
pumpkin pie filling for an extra little squishy splatty,
with a killer clown balloon dog for garnish. The only graboid left is their old pal Stumpy. Time to bait, cast, and kaboom. Kaboom. I said, well, shit. It lands on top of Burt's other bombs and there's my kaboom! The resulting explosion scatters everyone. Most make it back to the rocks, but Val, Earl, and Rhonda are intercepted by Stumpy, who screams so hard he needs a nap. Or maybe that was just Tom Woodruff Jr. being exhausted since he actually puppeteered the full-size creature from underground with only a flashlight and an oxygen tank to keep him company while buried alive. The rockers try to distract Stumpy with noise. Stumpy responds by impersonating his favorite Homer Simpson gif, but Val's not buying it.
This one ain't dumb.
Hello, Pot. This is the kettle. Val finally takes some initiative and takes off on some very wobbly ground as the graboid bursts through some styrofoam. Jesus, Val, what are you doing?
I got a goddamn plan!
But we didn't have a big long discussion scene. That's not how plans work! The graboid gives chase and Rhonda joins since she has the lighter. When they reach the cliff's edge, Val shortens the fuse, holds, then lights it and tosses it behind the fast approaching wiggle worm. Earl thinks he's missed, but the resulting explosion causes Stumpy to pick up speed. The graboid rushes towards Val at ludicrous speed, where he holds until jumping away at the very last second, causing our worm to launch out the edge of the cliff and into the air.
Can you fly, you sucker?
Not till the third one! The graboid is killed when it slams into the rocks in a practical effect that took numerous takes. Oh man, I want purple stuff, not Sunny D. Our three heroes watch over the side and wonder where Val got this idea.
It just suddenly hit me, Stampede.
Calling back to the opening of the movie that even shows Earl dressed like a graboid falling out of the back of the truck.
Now that is how you write a goddamn script, friends. Time to wrap things up. Val and Earl are headed to Bixby. Bixby! In hopes of getting into People magazine.
People? Hell. National Geographic.
Even better! That's the one that sometimes has boobs in it. Val and Rhonda awkwardly say goodbye, and that's where the movie originally ended. But thanks to a test screening audience and their chance of kiss her, they reshot an ending where he does just that. Roll credits, Reva! How many residents of perfection became graboid confections? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Hey, you know what? Actually, man, I've been watching all these Tremors movies. They're a real fun time, so I might want to take over the kill counts after all.
Oh, James.
What?
Broke into the wrong goddamn kill count, didn't you, you bastard? Oh, I love killing James. 10 people died in Tremors, 7 men, 1 woman, and 2 unknown Nev Caltel workers, giving us a mostly blue pie chart that Burt definitely won't be voting for. With a runtime of 96 minutes, that gives us a kill on average every 9.6 minutes. And for our special Burt's hunting log, we can add 4 graboids, giving us a graboid kill on average every 24 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Walter Chang. It's the most on-screen death, and it's amazing to see someone actually in the mouth of one of these mother humpers. Bill Machete for lamest kill goes to the 2 Nev Caltel workers that came to check on the landslide. We don't ever get to see them aside from some lightly bloodied helmets. And our new Burt's hunting trophy goes to Stumpy. It's a very clever death instigated by a very unclever man. And I just love the scream here as the graboid realizes its mortality. And that's it. Tremors came out in 1990 and was a box office flop, but found new life in the home video market and spawned 6 sequels. I'll look at the first of those
in 2 weeks.
But until then, I'm a man that Wilford Brimley once called the fuck in a red flannel shirt. And this has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Puberty. It's a scary time for any creature, from man to ape to Precambrian worm monster. It's a time of biological changes, such as mood swings, development of sexual attraction, morning sickness, hosts that still aren't James, and internal combustion.
Something came out of it.
But don't worry, once you pass this smelly life hurdle, you'll come out the other side a beautiful butterfly. Or whatever the fuck that is. Tremors 2 Aftershocks is an illustration of adolescence.
Cool.
It's a sequel that truly holds its own against the original.
Hell, that gives it quite an edge.
In fact, it's got even more of what you loved from the first film. Giant worms, geologist love interests, and plans. Lots of plans.
You like that, huh?
So join returning cast members Fred Ward, Michael Gross, and not Kevin Bacon.
Oh, actually, I'm not the original guy.
And watch Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Then on Friday, January 28th, set your seismos to fun for the Kill Count. Only on Dead Meat.
I feel I was denied critical, need-to-know information.
Tremors 2 Aftershocks can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Tell them.
You did a great job.
Thank you, James. Thank you. Oh, hi. Thank you so much for watching the very first kill count that I or anyone else has ever done other than this man. And thank you, James, for trusting me to take over this hollowed set.
You did great.
Oh, thanks. And today is the release of the new Scream.
And Zoran is actually the one who edited that awesome Scream House tour video that came out last week. If you didn't watch it, make sure you do, and then go see the new Scream as safely as possible.
Yes, very safely.
Yeah, so I just want to be here for your first episode, man. Make sure it all went well, and it did, so I'll just leave you to the rest of them.
Cool. So I'm going to be using this time to check in with James. So stay to the end card each week to find out what James is doing with his new wife, Chelsea. Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh.
Hey, you want to say the thing?
I can say the thing?
You can say the thing.
Oh, yes. Spay and neuter your pets.
No, wrong thing.
Oh.
Be good people.